example, on your benefit plan design, maybe putting a restriction on the number of pills that are prescribed for certain things that don't need to have a full prescription of 40 pills. An example I think of is you just had your wisdom teeth extracted. You do not need 40 pills to get over the hump of the pain that may last a day or two. So, putting a limit and then having a pre-auth attached if there needed to be more, where they have to call the doctor to get more. The other is there are truly prescriptions out there that cost a little bit more money, because a drug like hydrocodone is cents on the dollar. And so from a prescription plan, a lot of companies want the lower cost med. That's not always the answer, because yes, it's cents on the dollar, but it can be crushed, it can be used in the wrong way. And there's drugs out there that you can actually use for pain medication that cannot be crushed. They are more expensive. But if you can lower that and put it in a tier 1 pharmaceutical so that the doctors can prescribe it without fear that it's going to cost the patient a lot of money, that helps in that crisis.
One of the worst things you can do to them is isolate them. So if someone tests dirty and you kick them off the job site for 30 days, what do you think they're going to go do? They're going to go back to their old ways, and they're going to be isolated, and they're going to get depressed, and so goes the story. So one of the things we did with our drug testing with the carpenters, we are having people go seek counseling after they may have tested dirty, and we follow whatever the counselor prescribed for that individual. So for you, it might be 3 days of counseling. For me, it might be 3 months. So everybody's an individual, and it's, and we've got different things in our background. Once someone can test clean and show that they went through their therapy in an appropriate manner, a prescribed manner, they're allowed to come back on the job.
Finally, and probably the most important thing businesses can do is to have very strong, comprehensive drug and alcohol policies put in place. Opiates sometimes aren't involved in basic drug tests, so you need to make sure that opiates are now involved in your drug testing, whether it's pre-employment, whether it's suspicion, post-accident. All of those things need to be very much spelled out in your drug and alcohol policy. One of the things that we're finding with companies drug testing for opiates is the standard 10-panel drug test is not catching some of the synthetic drugs that are actually really popular in the area. One of the suggestions from a local drug testing company is to actually use the 5-panel test, but add the specific opiates that you would like. Again, it needs to be clear in the policy that you'll be using one of those 2 drug tests in order to test an employee, especially if there's suspicion of drug use.
Yeah, it's the acronym is Employee Assistance Program. So again, the Employee Assistance Program is either in a larger agency. A lot of times they'll have an internal EAP program or an EAP service. And for our agency, the previous clinic that I worked for, we had contracted through a service in Des Moines. And then their job was to help connect the employee with local providers. And it was all done in confidence. So that's what I always stressed was this is confidential, and you can engage in the services you need, and it's all private and confidential. If I was working with a patient and I said to the patient, tell me how things have been going, and they say, I haven't used any substances all week, I'm feeling good, this is great, I haven't done this for a long time, and I'm going to say, I believe you. Now let's get a urine sample or a saliva sample or a blood test or a breathalyzer, and let's show them that you in fact don't have any substances in your system. So drug monitoring, drug screening, Saliva tests, blood tests, breathalyzers, urine screening are all wonderful tools that the employer can utilize through either EAP or through another mechanism to help support their return to work.